union between this Anson and the aircraft restoration company Bouchon, because a few years ago ARC took that Bouchon, shipped it out to New Zealand to appear at the Warbirds over Wanaka Airshow. They flew in a combined display slot. Oh, and talking of Arco, there is the Blenheim from them and the two-seat. Potentially be within limits for a landing. Still to be decided. The crew of the B-17 will take that decision once they have completed their display as to whether they land back here if the wind is in limits or whether they depart. This display season. And with it, we bid you a very warm welcome to IWM Duxford for this 85th anniversary commemorative occasion of the events of the summer of 1940. We hope you've been having a great day with us. We hope you'll continue to do so as we watch one of the finest displays of vintage aeroplanes to be seen this 75. That the decision was taken to keep it going here, and so it's remained ever since. This aeroplane acts as a flying memorial to the thousands of American air, primarily against German industrial facilities and transport and resupply networks, often very heavily defended by anti-aircraft fire. Not to mention the ever-present threat. It's the heroism of those efforts that Sally B continues to commemorate, now as the only airworthy B-17 in Europe. Damaged engines, the condition in which B-17s would often be seen limping back to their bases during wartime. And this pass with smoke on salutes the members of the Sally B Supporters Club, which you can join to help keep this aircraft flying. And also in this anniversary season it salutes Ellie Sallingbow and all she has done to keep this aircraft in the air. land British soil. First of all, at Gordon, this is here to commemorate the fact that 29 Belgian pilots flew within the Royal Air Force during the Battle of Britain, of whom 6 lost their lives in the course of the battle. This was the start of a significant contribution to the wartime RAF by the Belgians, including the establishment of dedicated Belgian squadrons, beginning with number 350 Squadron in November 1941, followed by 349. Formed the basis of the re-establishment of the Belgian Air Force as an independent entity after World War II. June 1940 and D-Day on the 8th of May 45, 752 Belgian air crew served within the RAF, of whom 620 flew combat sorties and service in the wartime Royal Air Force. 4 pilots were awarded the DSO, the Distinguished Service Order, 61, one or more Distinguished Flying Crosses. Now this is a search and rescue demonstration we're going to see from the NH-90, and that too has a link to the Battle of Britain, because the RAF and the Royal Navy came together that year to establish a provisional air-sea rescue service, as it was known then. Its purpose to recover downed airmen, particularly from the English Channel. No helicopters, of course, in those days to support the service, so they used high-speed launchers in conjunction with the Supermarine Walrus amphibious rescue aircraft, and other types like Spitfires and Hurricanes to act as spotters, indeed to potentially drop life rafts or survival gear if required. A rescue diver and then a rescue medic. The helicopter there at about 100 feet above ground level, and deploying the diver on a line of about 65 meters. And there's the medic exiting the cabin. Operator and the NH-90 climbs. Cabin door being closed, and there's the transition to forward flight. The NH-90 NFH entered Belgian service to replace the Westland Sea King, and they largely conduct search and rescue. More than 500 NH-90s have been delivered in all. It's a type that made its first flight in December 1995, so 30 years ago later this year, and first entered service with the German Army in December 2006. Twin-engine helicopter this, a pair of Rolls-Royce Turbomeca RTM 322 turbofans. Mentioning the German Armed Forces, the NFH version like this has been adapted into 2 separate variants for the German Navy. There's the Sea Lion, giving you a wave as they do it. Both back on board. A very, very stable hover despite the windy conditions today. rescue is complete. We've not seen the NH-90 operated in the Battle of Britain. The crew today of Captain Kevin Beckers and Captain Philip Caramans with the Belgian Air Force NH Industries NH-90 NSH. That soon found itself out of time. Britain developed an aircraft called the Type 135 as a private venture. Lord Romilly, the owner of the Daily Mail, after a high-speed transport, he funded a follow-on, the Type 142. Romilly went on to present that aircraft's risk from enemy attentions. From the left, the Blenheim. All of that rendered the heroism shown by Blenheim crews of different commands in different theatres all the more remarkable. Bomber Command Blenheims took the fight to the enemy very much against the odds. For example, in March 1940, an aircraft of No. 82 Squadron conducted the RAF's first U-boat sinking of the war without the assistance of surface vessels. And those sorts of actions. And they went on also to serve side by side in the post-war US Air Force stationed in Germany, while the Invader and the Sea Fury were both significant Korean War combatants. By the US military, it became the first A-26 to be converted into bore-rate bomber configuration, and it was used for forest fire suppression by various companies around North America before becoming an historic aeroplane through the hands of various operators it passed. It was acquired in 2022 by its current owner, Polish businessman Marcin Kubrak, and it has just undertaken its transatlantic ferry flight this summer, arriving at its base at Katowice in Poland in late July. Rather better there than it had in the Pacific. And they started to be fully assigned to the 416th Bomb Group, again at the 9th Air Force, then stationed at Melun-Villers-Roche, to realise the design's true potential and to serve as an outstanding air-to-ground.
And the Liberators suffered very heavy losses because they were doing the daylight raids. The belief was that the bomber would always get through. However, came the B-47 the Mustangs, the B-51 Mustang as well, and that really did change the whole landscape so far as the air war over Berlin is concerned.
With more than 15,600 built for P-47. For now, taking the place of the Thunderbolt, the Fury. An aircraft conceived in the first instance as a Tempest replacement for the RAF. That aircraft was named the Sea Fury, and it became the Fleet Air Arm's main carrier-borne fighter and fighter bomber in the early post-war years, coming into service in October 1945, and it was most famed for its role in the Korean War of 1950 to 53, where it was flown by both the Royal Navy and the Royal Canadian Navy, and its most illustrious exploit there, the sole British air-to-air kill of that conflict on the 8th of August 1952, when the Royal Navy Sea Fury was credited with having shot down a MiG-15 swept-wing jet fighter. And landing underneath Dave Pulliston, after a typically stylish of the period with camouflage upper surfaces, yellow underside, and a yellow P in a circle on the rear fuselage. And here they are on the roll. P-51s and Ford and Goodyear Corsairs and Honduran Corsairs. At the moment there's two being McSwine about to exit and a pair about to run in. And here comes the two ships of Jersey Jerk and the second of the two aircraft in this pair, this Rebel, is another veteran of 1969's Football War. This aircraft was built up as a Cavalier F-51D Mustang II by Cavalier Aircraft, successor to Trans-Florida. Its original identity or identities are not known, as many of the Cavalier Mustangs were made up of by Bill Temmer in the second half of the 2000s, and arrived in Sweden in 2007. Warbirds at Aviation in France, imported from them in 2013. Now with an increasing amount of vintage tail dragger experience. pyrotechnic firing that we just saw from the hard runway. The Catalina is actually going to crash operating from Duxford by planes.
Swordfish appearing to be somewhat lumbering about in the wind. It's a very versatile aircraft in the sense that it has that biplane ability to be very maneuverable.
Third Flying Officer John Dixon and injured its second pilot, Flight Sergeant Jack Garnett. In doing so, Cruikshank suffered 72 wounds, including 10 to his lower limbs and 2 serious lung injuries. Luckily, the depth chargers had straddled that U-boat, U-361. It sank with the loss of all 52 crew. Cemetery in Shetland to lay a wreath on the grave of Cruikshank's navigator, John Dixon. paid tribute in the House of Commons on the 20th of August, 1940.
The gratitude of every home in our island, in our empire, and indeed throughout the world, except in the abodes of the guilty, goes out to the British airmen who, undaunted by odds, unwearied in their constant challenge and mortal danger, are turning the tide of the world war by their prowess and by their devotion. Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few.